The NCAA, the National Collegiate Athletics Association, is the body that oversees 480,000 student athletes representing 1,268 institutions in the United States. These athletes come from a wide array of backgrounds and ethnicities and compete in a variety of sports with different competition levels. They are divided into three distinct divisions, so that in theory, larger schools cannot dominate smaller ones. Some universities, such as Johns Hopkins University, dominate sports that do not generate much revenue, like lacrosse. Despite being a tiny school, they have the most lacrosse championships in the history of the NCAA. Other schools dominate female sports, like Old Dominion University. They too have a much smaller enrollment than other Division I schools, yet the most women's field hockey championships of all time. Some big-time schools, such as the University of Connecticut, have seen their female athletes rise above their male counterparts. The women's basketball team has won 6 of the last 10 basketball championships, and their athletes are not only better known throughout the school, but on a national level as well. But when most people think of NCAA sports, they think of football and basketball, two sports which not only bring in big-time money, but also rely on the hard work of unpaid, mostly poor African American athletes. The amount of money that these athletes bring in for their schools is staggering. The number of African American athletes who graduate university or college is generally lower than that of non-athletes. One reason might be because of the amount of money they can make going pro dwarfs anything they might get with a degree. Because many come from inner cities and want to support their families, it is much more enticing to try to make it as a pro athlete. In her article, Used Goods, Beeman spoke to some former NCAA athletes who felt abused by the system. In their article, Point Counterpoint Paying College Athletes, Johnson and Aquaviva make an analogy that the NCAA operates like the plantation system of the Old South. Perhaps slightly overstated, the student athlete is dominated, managed, and controlled, and don't receive any benefits. This explains why athletes who compete in sports which do not generate a high level of revenue, such as swimming, get a free education in exchange for representing their schools at the collegiate level. According to the NCAA, all athletes are important, no matter what they're doing or who they are, or where they came from. Paying student athletes could have dire consequences on the games. Recently, California Governor Gavin Newsom made history when he signed SB 206, dubbed the Fair Pay to Play Act, which would allow student athletes to receive monetary compensation for use of their likeness without jeopardizing their college eligibility. I am not sure how I feel about this. On one hand, perhaps there is merit that the students who pay for the programs that bring in the most money should receive money. After all, they are the ones doing the work and reaping none of the benefits, other than free schooling, which I would argue is a benefit almost every student would love to have. On the other hand, most of these athletes will not make money professionally, regardless of how well they perform at the college level. So by not explicitly saying that one athlete is more important than another in another field of play, maybe these students should be able to make what they can while they can make it. But at this point, it is still nice that all student athletes are treated as equals no matter what school they go to, what sport they play, what their gender is, or where they came from. For now, the NCAA stands by this fact. Even if they never explicitly stated that the most important thing in college athletics remains money. Time will tell whether the students get their share or whether the NCAA will continue its stranglehold over $1 billion industry.